So today, we're going to dive into a really powerful blog post from Salima at whisperstotheworld.com. It's called My Rules, My Life. And it's all about this pretty simple but honestly radical idea. What if you wrote your own rules for life and actually lived by them? So let me just ask you the same thing the author starts with. Do you hate rules? I mean, not just dislike them, but like have a deep, genuine resentment for them. If you're nodding along right now, then you are really going to want to hear this. The author just kicks things off with this incredible line. For her, rules were never about guidance. They were cages. You know the ones. The rules from when you were a kid, the rules in school, all those unspoken rules at work. It always felt like they were there for someone else's comfort, and usually at your expense. Okay, but here's the twist. This is the thought that changed everything for her. She realized we are all living by rules, every single day. The real question isn't if we follow rules, it's whose rules are we following? Are they ones handed down from family, from our culture, or maybe they're rules written by our own insecurities? And that realization, well, that was the game changer. And this brings us right to the heart of it all. It's about completely reframing what a rule even is, turning it from something that traps you into something that actually sets you free. So, what's the big difference? Well, someone else's rules, they feel like restriction, like punishment. They're those cages we just talked about. But the rules you write for yourself, that's about liberation. They stop being rules and start being your guiding principles. They become the foundation you can actually build your life on. And that is so, so important. These are not just casual suggestions you make for yourself. She calls them non-negotiable, personal, as vital as oxygen. See, they come from a place of deep self-respect, from looking out where you keep tripping up in life and finally saying, you know what, enough, I know better now. All right, so what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's get into some specific examples of the rules she came up with for herself. Okay, this first one is so interesting because of what it replaces. The author realized she was spending a ton of energy just complaining, which really just keeps you stuck in the problem. So by making this her rule, all that energy that was going into venting suddenly got redirected. She started putting it toward what she could actually change or build or solve. Oof, this one is powerful. As an empath, she said she used to always see people's potential, which meant she often ignored the reality of their actions right in front of her. This rule is a commitment to just believing the evidence. No more bargaining with it, no more trying to fix it. And wow, this quote just captures the essence of that rule perfectly, doesn't it? It's about profound self-preservation. It's not a lack of compassion, it's recognizing that you simply cannot be the dumping ground for everyone else's pain. And now we get to what the author calls her deepest and her most challenging rule, the one that took her the longest to say without feeling a wave of guilt. And that rule is, me first. She talks about spending years being that person. You know, the one who always showed up for everybody else. The good friend, the patient listener, the person who always gave and gave. And it led to this specific kind of bone-deep exhaustion, the feeling of constantly pouring from a cup that nobody ever thinks to refill for you. And this was the huge realization. All that care, all that empathy that she gave away so freely, she had completely forgotten to give any of it to herself. And she knew that had to change. So let's be really clear here. Me first is not about becoming selfish, not at all. It's about restoration. It's what happens when the person who has always been at the very bottom of their own to-do list finally decides to move up. Because from that place, when your cup is actually full, anything you give is a true gift, not an obligation that's slowly draining you dry. So if this all feels a little abstract or kind of hard to imagine, the author gives us the most amazing, most unexpected role model for setting boundaries. Who do you think it is? That's right, a baby. Turns out they are the most enlightened boundary setters on the entire planet. I mean, just think about it. A baby feels zero guilt. It doesn't apologize or give you a 5-minute explanation for why it doesn't want the peas. It just refuses what it doesn't want. If something doesn't nourish it, a baby literally spits it out. They haven't learned to pretend or suffer politely yet. We were all born knowing how to do this, and then slowly we were taught to forget. Okay, this is where it gets personal. How can you start building your own set of rules, your own personal foundation? The process is actually pretty straightforward. First, you have to ask yourself, honestly,
Where do I keep stumbling? Where do I keep losing energy or saying yes when I really mean no? Second, write your rules from a place of love for your future self, not as a punishment for your past. Third, make them non-negotiable. And finally, and this is a big one, write them down, put them somewhere you'll see them, review them.
And this, right here, might be the biggest takeaway of all. The rules we grew up with, yeah, those might have felt like walls designed to keep us small. But these rules, the ones you write for yourself, they're totally different. They're not meant to keep life out. They are the foundations you build to protect your peace, your energy, and your dignity. So we'll leave you with this final, powerful thought. This isn't about finding some big secret you didn't already know. You already know what you need. You already know what you will and will not accept. The challenge is just to write it down, make it real, and give yourself permission to finally live it.